So guys, on this video I'll be walking you through on how you can create a simple flyer design for a comedy show event in Photoshop. So without further ado, let's dive into the tutorial. So first thing first, we have to create a Canva workspace on which we'll be designing on. So I'll click on new file over here and we'll have the new document panel that comes up. Here we'll set the unit of measurement in inches. I'll set this on 4x4 to be precise. This design will be used on social media platforms and other web platforms. So I'll set the color mode on RGB and I'll choose to give this a name. That is the project. I'll call this comedy show. Okay, and after you are done with that, leave other settings the way they are and hit on the create button. Over here we'll have the Canva workspace on which we'll be designing on. So the next thing I would like to do here is to drag in the exercise files I'll be using for this tutorial. So over here we have the exercise files I'll be using for this tutorial. Do well to check the video description. You'll find the link to the exercise file in the video description. So in the first phase of creating this design has to do with creating of the background. In order for me to create the background, I'll be making use of these two images over here to create the background. First thing first, I would like to take this layer beneath this, turn off this other layer and make sure this is the only layer enabled. So I hit Ctrl T on the keyboard, hold Alt and scale out, holding Alt, left click and scale out like this. And I like to place this in my Canva this way. So after I'm done, I'll click on the check button. Next thing I would like to do on this particular layer is to come to filter all the way to blur and apply the Gaussian blur effect to this. So for this I would like to scale this to this radius. I think this radius is actually good. So I would like to blur out the light ray a little out. So I'll click on this. Okay, so you can see that the light is a little bit out of focus. So next thing I would like to do is to enable this layer here. Hit Ctrl T, hold Alt and scale it out. Okay, so for this I would like to place it like this in my Canva, and after I'm done with that I would like to check. Next thing I would like to do is to also blur out the light radius out of focus by applying the same technique as the first layer earlier. So for this I would like to increase the blur radius to about, I think I need to blur this to about this radius is actually good enough like this. So I'll click on the OK button for that. So after I'm done with that, I'd like to also change the blending mode for this to the blending mode that will help blend both layers together, which is the screen blending mode. So after I'm done with that, I'll need to create a new custom layer by hitting Ctrl Shift N on the keyboard and call this noise to be precise. For this I'd like to change the blending mode to soft light, enable the 50% gray option and click on the OK button. Right click and convert this to a smart object. Come to the filter and apply a little feel of noising to this layer. I think this is actually good enough. This amount of noise is good enough. So I'll click on the OK button for that. So after I'm done with that, the next thing I would like to do is to color blend them together. So I'll be using the adjustment over here and click on the hues and saturation adjustment. For this I would like to play with the hues and the saturation to get a good color that will help depict the event. So for this I would like to scale this up to this particular field is giving me a good vibe. Likewise the saturation, I like to increase the saturation to a good radius like this. So after I'm done with that, the next thing I would like to do is to come over here where I have this, hold Shift all the way to where I have the first background layer, holding Shift, left click on it and hit Ctrl G to group it. Ctrl G enables you to group this. I'll double click on this and rename this group and call it BG, which stands for the background. So the next thing I would like to do here is to drag this image over here and enable this. I'll be using this image for the subject character for this design. So I'll place this over here, right click and convert it to a smart object. Converting your subject character to a smart object enable you to make subsequent changes whenever you apply any filter adjustment on that layer. Okay, so after you're done with that, I'd like to scale this out like this. Okay, and click on the check button. The title of the event here is called Shine Your 32. So I noticed that the buccal cavity of the character here is actually not shining the way I want it to. So So I'll come over here first thing and apply a hue saturation to this. Click on the clip mark so that the effect will be only on the image layer. So I'll click on this hand icon over here and sample a region from the teeth this way. I would like to turn down this way, the saturation, and increase this way. So after I'm done, make sure your mask layer is actually selected. Hit Ctrl I to actually invert your marks. Pick your brush tool, the keyboard shortcut is B on the keyboard, and make sure your foreground is set on white. Okay, so after you're done with that, you can right click and make sure you're working with the soft round brush and make sure the layer is actually selected. The black mask layer here is actually selected. So control the flows and opacity and come over here and apply the effect this way. So you apply them gently on those particular region of the teeth. So you scale down the size of your brush by using open and close bracket key beside the P button on your keyboard to scale it up and to actually scale it down to any size of your choice. So after I'm done with that, I would like to enable the adjustment and click on curves to be precise, and I'll create a curve of this radius like this, adding more highlights this way. Please take note that the curve adjustment are made up of 3 regions. This end are called the highlights, the middle regions are called the midtones, and the bottom part here is called the shadows. Me going down this way, I'm adding more shadows. Me going up this way, I'm adding more highlights to my image. So I hit Ctrl I to invert the marks and clip mark this to the image. So the next thing I would like to do is to select this layer where I have the mask layer of the hues and saturation. Hold Alt on the keyboard, left click and drag the marks to where you have the curve, and this actually comes off. So you have to replace the mask layer with this. So you can see this is the before and this is the after of me applying the marks on that. So after you're done, you select this layer over here, that is the curve layer. Hold Shift, select the model image or the subject image and hit Ctrl G. So for this, I'll call this subject. So the next thing I would like to do is to move forward by placing the other information that are needed for this event, such as the theme of the event and other information. So before proceeding, I would like to enable my guide to actually guide me through on how to structure my text on my Canva. So I'll come on the view all the way to guide and enable the new guide layout, and I'll be setting this as follows, and I'll click on the OK button for that. So after I'm done with that, the next thing I would like to do here is to pick my text tool and start placing in my information. So for this, I would like to place in the name of the organizing body over here. For this, I would like to use the font called Montserrat for this particular purpose. Under the Montserrat, I would like to change the style to bold, while for this, I would like to set this on regular to be precise. So I would like to also change the fill color for the present text to white, while for this other text here, I would like to highlight this other line of text. Come over here and give it a fill color of yellow. So here is hex code for the yellow. FCFF00 is the actual hex code for the color. So I'll click on the OK and I'll click on the OK for that. Hit Ctrl T, hold Alt to scale it out so that the text can actually be seen properly. So the next thing I'd like to do is to place in the other text over here, which has to do with the theme of the event. So for the theme of the event, I would like to scale up this text here, and I'll be making use of a font called Cherylini. That's the name of the font. Cherylini is the name of the font. For this, I would like to change the fill color for this to yellow. That is the same fill as this other text here, so which is FC FF00 is the hex code for that. So I would like to hit Ctrl T to transform and scale it out and place it around somewhere here like this. So I'll double click on the layer where I have the shine, okay, and the layer style actually comes up, or you can choose to right click and click on blending option. The layer style also come up. So for this, I'll enable the stroke, and I'll be making use of a stroke for this as well. So for this I'll be using a stroke of about this radius to be precise, that is in terms of stroke. Here's the hex code for the color I'm using for the stroke. So here's the size, here is the position, here is the blending mode, and here is the opacity. So I'll click on the OK button, and I would like to still scale this up properly. So I'll make sure that this is actually aligned with the guides over here. So I can come back to this layer where I have the stroke, double click on the stroke and increase the stroke size as well if being needed. Okay, so after I'm done with that, I like to make a duplicate by holding Alt. Okay, I've made a duplicate. For this I'll change the text to this, that is year 32. Okay, for this I'd like to change the fill color to white. Okay, I'll hit Ctrl T to transform it and scale it down and place it directly beneath this like this. So after I'm done, I'll hit the check. I can go back and make adjustments to the size of the stroke, scale down the size if they're needed, if be needed, like this. Click on the OK, make a duplicate of this as well. Okay, by hitting Ctrl G, it enables you to make a duplicate of a layer, or you hold Alt, left click and drag the layer downward, and it will help you make a duplicate. So for this I'll call this comedy show. I'll hit Ctrl T, scale this down properly, and place this way like this. So I can choose to place it this way. Come over here on the stroke, make adjustments to the stroke as well by scaling down the size of the stroke, and let me scale this up a little. I think this is okay like this. I'll click on the OK button. For the fill color, I would like to change it to the same value of yellow as this. I'm trying to create contrast in terms of elements here, that is in terms of sizes of text as well. That is what I'm trying to do here by reducing the sizes and using different colors to make them stand out from each other. So after I'm done with that, I will select this layer here, hold shift, select this layer over here, hit Ctrl G to group this, and I'll call this the theme of the event. So I'll take this layer over here, and I'd like to take this layer here as well. Okay, for the theme, pick the move tool and take this and place them side by side. Here over on your tool panel is your move tool to be precise. So after I've done with that, I'd like to move further by placing other information for the event, such as the guest artist that will be featured on the event. So I'll come over here, left click and paste in this text over here. For this, I'm still making use of the Montserrat. I'll set this on regular, and I would like to change the fill color for this to the same fill of yellow as this. Okay, while for this I would like to change the style for this to bold, and I would like to change the fill color to white to be precise. I can still choose to increase the size of the text this way, so that I can create contrast among my text and other information on the design. So after I'm done, come over here, select this rectangle here, and create a rectangle of this dimension to be precise. So after you are done with that, the next thing I'd like to do, we have the property panel comes here up here, and I'd like to add a fill of curve to this, to about this radius. So for this, I would like to double click on this and sample this color over here and click on the OK button. So please take note that my stroke is actually enabled, so I'll turn off my stroke so that you can have a good preview of the fill. Okay, so I'd like to take this layer beneath the future text so that the text can be seen. Okay, so that the text can be visible. Now we have this over here. So the next thing I would like to do here is to change the blending mode of this layer to, I think this will actually work perfectly well. Hold Ctrl on the keyboard, move your mouse pointer to where you have the rectangle icon over here. Left click holding Ctrl, it makes a quick selection of this. Select this layer over here, pick your move tool and align horizontally and vertically into the shape. Ctrl D to deselect. So I can select both layers and group them together, and I'll call this featuring. That is in terms of that. Hit Ctrl T and choose to place it around somewhere here like this. So after I'm done with the featuring text, the next thing I would like to do is to also make a duplicate of this and place this around somewhere here like this. So for this, I would like to place in other set of information. So I'll have to replace this with this other set of information. Why for this, I'll change this to music policy. It will be handled by the following set of DGs. So I'll hold Ctrl left click over here, pick the move to align horizontally and vertically into this, Ctrl D to deselect. I like to restructure the text by selecting the layer, hit Ctrl T and scale it down into the canvas this way. So after I'm done with that, I'll enable this way and have to change the name of this group to music. So for this, I'll select both layers and choose to place them around somewhere here like this. So after I'm done with that, I'll hit the check button. So I'll come over here to make adjustments to these layers. So I'll select this rectangle, open this other group, select this rectangle by holding Ctrl and change the blending mode for this to hard light, to be precise, thereby creating contrast between the background and what is on the foreground. So after I'm done with these two group, the next thing I'd like to do is to make adjustments by Ctrl T, increase the size a little bit and place it like this. So after I'm done, I'll move forward by placing other information such as the time for the event. So for this, I'd like to create a rectangle. So for this, I'll create a rectangle of this size for the time of the event like this, and I would like to give it the same feel as this as well. So I'll click on the check and turn off my stroke. Okay, so I'll come over here on the property and make adjustments by adding a little curve edge to this. So after I'm done, the next thing I'd like to do is to make a duplicate of this rectangle, to be precise, Ctrl J, Ctrl T and scale this way like this. Okay, so I'll come over here, hold Alt in between the two layers. My mouse pointer changes to this in between these two layers when I hold Alt, and I'll left click and it will create a clipping mask. For this, I'd like to change the fill color for this to white. Okay, and okay, let me change it to this like this and click on the OK button. Okay, I'm trying to maintain the use of color on this design. So the next thing I'd like to do is to place in my text, which is called red carpet. Okay, for this, I'm still maintaining Montserrat. I'll give this a white fill and make sure it is aligned to the middle of this shape, to be precise. Pick your move to align it to the middle. Okay, Ctrl D, Ctrl T, scale the text down like this and you're good. Change the fill color to a color that will be visible, which is this, thereby creating contrast and making the information visible on that particular background. So the next thing I'd like to do is to pick my text tool once more and place in the time of the red carpet, which is 8 p.m. to be precise. For this, I'll change the fill color to, let me set this on white, click on the OK, scale this up and position this into this. Okay, make sure it is well aligned and we are good to go. Change this to bold. Okay, thereby making the time actually stand out from every other information here. So I'll move forward by scaling this size this way. Okay, that is in terms of that. So I'll select this layer, hold shift all the way to where we have 8 p.m. here, hit Ctrl G to group this and call this red carpet. Okay, make a duplicate by hitting Ctrl G and take this way like this. Okay, so after I'm done, come over here and edit this. This is the time for the main event. So the next thing I'd like to do here is to create another rectangle over here like this. So I'll be placing in the date of the event. So for this, I'll also maintain the same feel of color by sampling this color as well, and we are good to go. Add a little feel of curve to it and placing the date of the event. So I'll left click and paste in the event date, change the fill color to white, and change some of the text. For this text, I would like to change it to a feel of yellow, for this. Why for this, which is 2024, give it a feel of yellow. I'm trying to play with colors, okay, because this is a comedy show, okay. So I'll align this, hold control left click on this icon here where you have the rectangle on your layer panel, select the text layer, align, pick your move tool and align horizontally and vertically into the shape. Ctrl D to deselect your selection, Ctrl T to transform and scale this up perfectly well, and you can choose to adjust it this way. So for this, I like to resize this way. So after I'm done with that, the next thing I would like to do is to group them. So I'll select both layers. I'll call this date, which is the date of the event. I would like to place them side by side each other, showing there is proximity in the sense that these three information here has close relationship, so they should be placed side by side, thereby creating room for proximity, showing that close relationship. So after I'm done, I'll select the rectangle tool here, and I would like to create a rectangle around somewhere here like this. For this, I would like to change, I'll set the fill to white and turn off my stroke, please. So I've turned off the stroke. I would like to adjust its position this way, but moving forward, I would like to make adjustment to the position of these two layers here, which is the present text and this. So I would like to hit Ctrl T, scale it out. Okay, for this music policy, all the way to from music policy featuring, rather from featuring and the date all the way to the date, so I would like to move it up this way. Okay, why for this, I would like to take it up. I'll have to make sure that my information is within my guide so that it won't go outside, it won't exceed that space over there. So the next thing I would like to do here is to, okay, I've scaled this down this way. So the next thing I like to do is to place in the other set of information. I'll select the rectangle image, the rectangle tool rather, and add a fill of this to be precise. Okay, for this, I'll double click on this, come over here to my swatches and sample this. Here's hex code for the color I'm actually using for this. FF9000 is the hex code. So I'll turn off the stroke once more and I'm good for that. So I'll place this around here, take this to the top of this, should be outside the group. Okay, so if you notice, this is over here at the moment. So the next thing I would like to do is to take this upward again, hitting Ctrl T, scale up this way. Okay, now it's making more sense. So I'll select this all the way to the theme, and I would like to move them upward like this. Okay, I like to place them like this. While for this other set of information here, I would like to scale them down, creating contrast. Okay, so that other information can be placed into this design perfectly well. Ctrl H, this is how this is looking like so far. So the next thing I would like to do is to place in the address where the event will be taking place. So here is the actual address for the event. Okay, I would like to change the fill color to a value of green from this end here. Okay, I would like to make this bold so that it can actually stand out. Okay, you can still choose to increase the size of the text While for this, I would like to take this into this shape here and reduce the size of the text using the character panel. So I'll adjust this way, okay, and click on the check. If you don't have your character panel here, please take note, you can enable it from your windows, to be precise. So after you're done, make sure it is aligned to the middle. Pick your move to align it using the same technique we used earlier, and this will be looking like this. So after we are done, the next thing I would like to do is to place in a contact information that we can use to make reservation. So for this, I'll set this on regular. Okay, the main focus here should be this phone number here. So I'm trying to create contrast, so I'll choose to give you the same feel of black. Okay, and for this text here, I would like to increase its size as well. Okay, so I'll increase this to about 6.4. I think it's okay like this. So I'll place this around here like this. I can still choose to increase the size this way, and we are good to go. Okay, right, for this I can still choose to adjust the size this way, scale this down, okay, and place this side by side as this, group them together, and I'll call this venue. Okay, this is the venue where the event will be holding. Why this is for inquiry, so I would like to move them this way, make sure they are aligned with the other set of text here. And finally, I would like to enable this. Ctrl T, select the text, the layer, and place the sponsored information around here like this. Okay, so that is in terms of that. So I can select these three, and make sure that they are spaced equally. Okay, that is in terms of that. So that is in terms of making this design. So in the final part of this design has to do with placing the ticket sales, the information for the ticket sales. For this, I'll create a rectangle of this dimension. Is okay this way. For this, I'll be giving it the same feel as this, so I'll turn off my stroke again and change the fill color by sampling this exact fill color over here, to be precise. So after I'm done, I'll make a duplicate of this, hit Ctrl T to transform the rectangle and bring it into this, Ctrl plus to zoom in a little bit, and you can actually place it this way. Okay, so after you're done, I would like you to hold Alt in between the two layers to create a clipping mask. For this layer here, I like to select the rectangle and turn off the fill and enable the stroke, to be precise. So for the stroke, I'll be using this value of green, and I'll be setting this to about 3.4, 3.6 will actually work for the stroke. For the stroke pattern here, I'll set this on this, and we are good to go. So I pick my text tool and type in text good, okay, and make sure it is actually aligned to the middle of the shape. Okay, for this I'll be making use of value of green as well. This value of green I'll be using for this, and I would like to change the name of the font to another font. Let me set it on extra bold this way, Ctrl T, scale it out, and we are good to go. So I'll zoom in. So this is how this is actually looking like so far. So I can group them together by selecting this and grouping them together this way, selecting the layers, group them together. I'll call this gold, hit Ctrl J to make a duplicate and place this like this. So for this, I would like to change its fill color as well. So I'll come to this group here, I would like to change its fill color as well. So I'll double click over here and give it a lighter value like this. Okay, that's for that. So I'll change this to the information, okay, to plat, and make sure it is actually aligned as well. So pick the move to align it to the middle. Okay, so for the gold I forgot, so I'll place the price tag for the gold information and make sure I hold control, left click over here to make a selection and align this. So after we are done with this, I would like to select the first layer, hold shift, select the last layer, hit Ctrl G and place this information around somewhere here like this. So the next thing I would like to do is to pick my text tool, left click here and place in this other line of text. For this I would like to change the fill color to white and come to the character panel and enable the all caps information here. While for this I would like to create contrast in terms of size by setting this on regular and changing the fill color to a value of yellow. While for this, I think the contrast size is actually big enough. I can set this on bold as well because this is the main information that I need you to see, which is the website on where you can actually get your tickets from. So I can choose to place this information like this over here. So after I'm done with this, I will move forward by placing the name of the host and making use of the same style of font we use for this, which is Cherolini. Okay, Cherolini is the name of the text font. Rather, pick the text to change this to yellow. Okay, and click on the check button, Ctrl T to transform. You notice that the name of the host is not actually visible, so you can move forward by double clicking on the layer. This will actually come up, the layer style, enable your stroke and apply a stroke of any radius of your choice for this purpose, and we are good to go. So we can set it on this amount and we are good to go. Scale this up so that it can be seen properly. Okay, that is in terms of that. Ctrl H to hide the guides. Ladies and gentlemen, we are almost done with this. So in the final phase of this, you can move forward by making use of my color lookup as regular to apply another fill to this. Okay, so I can switch within any color lookup and see the one that helps to enhance the look of my project. Or moving forward, you can choose to use camera raw if you're actually conversant on how to use camera raw to make your image pop. Okay, so ladies and gentlemen, we have come to the end of this tutorial. If you find this tutorial helpful, do well to give it a like, do well to smash the like button right away. If you are new to the channel and you enjoy this content and you would like to see more content from me, do well to smash the subscribe button, and turn on the post notification bell to get notification whenever I upload new content. And if you're a returning subscriber, thank you for always watching. Please don't forget to give this video a like and leave your comment in the comment section. Thank you guys for watching.